Most of you have already heard how the game development process works. But just to quickly reiterate, you start with an idea that you slowly turn into an early pre-alpha version of the game. Then you get the actual alpha, which you might start showing to people, but mostly you're still doing internal testing only. After a period of getting pissed off by everybody telling you how terrible your game is and what are all the things that need to be improved, you eventually manage to get a beta version of your game. Here you start to actually regularly showing off the game to other people, like your friends, or if you have a bigger project, maybe some actual playtesters. Another period of time where you get increasingly angry at people criticizing your game follows. But you get through it, and now you have a finished game at your hands. All the mechanics work, the levels are designed, the story is fully fleshed out, and in general, you are just happy with what you've made. So, the game is finished. What now? It may seem like your work is done, but that's simply just not true. In reality, there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and the quality of the game can still be influenced a lot. Now that you've finished the game, it may be time to take a look at what markets you want to aim at. And with that comes an important thing: translation. Sometimes you might have done this already throughout the alpha and beta versions of your project, but that is often the case only for bigger titles. If it is just a single person or a very small collective who is making the game, there is a good chance that nobody thought of this until now. And translation comes with its own set of problems, especially if you haven't been prepared for it at all. Just take a look at something as basic as is the font you are using in your game. If you're an English-speaking developer, font most likely wasn't a problem during development, as the vast majority of fonts support all English characters. But finding a font that would support the languages that don't use the Latin alphabet, like Chinese, Arabic, or Cyrillic, and fit their game at the same time might be just completely impossible. And God forbid if you're actually trying to do voiceover in your game in different languages at the same time. Again, bigger games might be okay here, as the publisher is the one who is often responsible for dubbing. But if you're adventurous and you want to do voiceover in different languages yourself, you either have to be able to fluently speak several languages in many different voices, or prepare to dish out quite a lot of money. Having a game finished doesn't mean that there aren't things you can do with the game in terms of its code. Because now it's time to employ all your friends, friends of your friends, and ideally their friends as well. Cause, well, people do have a tendency to break your game in ways you just couldn't imagine. Big games have testers for this specific purpose, and they have one single job: do insane stuff in your game. Jump against the wall 500 times? Check. Try shooting an arrow through that crack in the wall that nobody would even ever try to hit? Check. Kill every single NPC that is standing on a map, including the ones vitally necessary for quests? Check. It's not a glorious job, but it is important. Once you get through the final testing and you release your game, you might think it's time to put your legs on the table, light up a cigar, and wait for the cold cash to flow into your bank account. Well, that may have been the case in the past when the games were released on CDs and DVDs, but nowadays the fun doesn't end there. Day 1 patches, creating DLC, marketing, communication with streamers and YouTubers. Those are just some of the things you will need to do. And even if you're a small, tiny studio comprised of a single person, that is you, if you don't try to do these things, On today's crowded gaming market, your game will get overlooked and quickly forgotten.